Man, everything happens for a reason, right? And I'll be honest with you, like, when you see a compilation of like all of your worst, angriest moments in a game, it kind of wakes you up. You're like, oh shit, like, I was not being a nice person.
A lot has happened with Matthew Santoro in the past few months, struggling to finance the high production cost of his videos, while gaining barely any views compared to what he used to eventually leaving his channel entirely and becoming a full-time Twitch streamer, being exposed for toxic behavior by the DBD community. He also responded to my videos about him, which we will have a look at in a bit because it's kind of funny, and now some signs of change for the better. There's a lot of interesting stuff to go through here, so sit tight and enjoy the video. As a quick disclaimer, just to be clear, this by no means is meant to promote any hatred towards Matthew Santoro or anyone else included in this video. This is purely a retrospective on what's happened from my experience, and it should be obvious by now that harassment is pretty cringe and doesn't help the situation. And Matthew, if you're watching this for whatever reason, then please do take a pinch of salt when doing so. No joke intended. So this is old news by now, but Matthew got exposed pretty thoroughly by Spook N Jukes. He was caught complaining a lot, especially towards console players, going to other streamers, mocking their view count and even their accent, playing with his own viewers and even bashing them for not playing the way that he wanted. Now this video got a lot of views, and so many people were turned off by Matthew Santoro after seeing this. He's now known as this very toxic guy. And the reason why it was such a big shock is because the majority of people knew him for his YouTube videos, which are highly edited and scripted. So of course on Twitch people do act differently, but this was like meeting your hero in person, being super excited to see how they're getting on, and seeing probably the worst possible side to them you could ever imagine. Now Spook actually responded to Matthew on Twitter about this with a link to his video. I mean, I really want to know what was going through Matthew's head at the time. It was actually quite a positive interaction to start off with, but then Spook came back with this. Here's the vid you wanted me to tag you in. Hope you enjoy. Be kind to your fellow gamers and community members. And of course the title right here, it goes ahead and it says, the most entitled and toxic Dead by Daylight player, I would assume, is the rest of it. Now when I saw this, I was thinking to myself, yeah, how is Matthew going to respond? Like, what, is he going to make a statement about this? Is he going to apologize, make an apology video or some shit? Well, this is where things actually get pretty bad, and he digs the hole even deeper.
One thing I can say to you guys is, before you make an entire YouTube video on somebody, maybe have some compassion. I'm not saying like don't call them out, but maybe have some compassion for, because you don't know what somebody's going through.
So yeah, he mentions compassion whilst exposing somebody, which is probably one of the most hypocritical statements in this whole drama. And because of this, Spook made another video exposing Matthew further by sharing an example of Matthew calling somebody cancer in chat while that person's mother is actually suffering from cancer. I get that people are toxic, and I get that people say certain words without even thinking twice about it. I think that's quite normal. You don't know what somebody's going through, but when you make a statement like that, you got to live up to it. Now, if you've been following this a lot, it's very clear that Matthew has used mental health as an excuse or a reason for his bad behavior. Personally, I get it. Personally, I understand, you know, if you're going for a bad time, you're not going to be the nicest person to be around. But to go live on stream and to bash other people and bring them down onto your level is a pretty damn shitty thing to do, regardless of your mental health. So it's all pretty bad stuff. Matthew's gained a lot of backlash from this. People going to his streams and such to obviously troll him on it, trying to get a reaction. He hasn't made any official statement on what's actually happened, but we're going to see a little bit later that he has actually changed. But before we get onto that, he did actually make a response to me, and this response was a while ago now, so it's nothing special. But for those of you who follow me quite regularly, you'll know about this response, and I did say I was going to cover it, so here we go. I made a video about the decline of his channel back on the 18th of June 2021, and in summary it was a commentary about 3 now deleted videos where Matthew expresses concerns for the lack of viewership on his channel. So of course I go check out some of his streams to see what they were on about, and it was, well, fucking weird. In this video right here, I reacted to a 7-minute clip of Matthew being goofy and overly hyped for the game. And that was that. Now, in that video, I mentioned another YouTuber known as Jack Daniels, a very small YouTube channel who actually had one of his videos taken down by Matthew himself because it was exposing some of the toxic behavior that Matthew was expressing in his streams. In fact, Jack actually left a comment on my video giving more detail on the situation. Matthew clearly didn't want people talking about his toxic or even goofy behavior. Fast forward a month later, after my third video about Matthew's YouTube channel, where we take a look to see if he's made any changes from the feedback that he gained, I was notified that Matthew Santoro himself responded to my videos about him live on stream, and it did not go well.
I saw this hate video that this guy made on me on YouTube. I don't look those up anymore, but like whenever I'm having a really bad day, I'll kind of like look up hate videos on me. I know it's a stupid thing, but I saw this guy, and he was talking about how like I'm not gonna get into what he was talking about. He was saying nasty things about me, and he found all of the times that I do like stupid random things on Twitch for you guys and took them out of context. So he's like, Matthew is not who he says he is. On YouTube, he's this, but on Twitch, he's this. And then on Twitch, he like cuts to me going like, like, dude, I'm just being goofy. Like, it doesn't mean I'm not who I say I am. Like, bro, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yes, he is deep throating his mic again. He's talking about this video, by the way. I have to say, first off, getting a response from Matthew Santoro is a massive achievement, I guess. But yeah, he starts off strong by saying it's a hate video, and not to be petty, I was very confused at the time because I even started off the video by saying this. It's important to state right now that this is by no means any hatred towards Matt. This is simply just an analysis of his Twitch. You guys make whatever you want of it. I'll have my own reaction, and we're gonna leave it at that. Now, I know disclaimers are just disclaimers, and they can mean absolutely fuck all if literally a minute later you start bashing the person and hating on them. And I'm fully aware that, you know, it's a subjective opinion, and I respect that. He even mentioned that he watched this whilst he was going through a tough time, which, Matt, I know you said it's stupid, but it really is. You know, that's the worst thing to do. If you're going through a tough time, watching a video about a guy who's clipped you deep-throating your mic, giving people the sausage and all that, it's probably not the best thing to do. I also looked through the whole of that video again. Obviously, I'm going to be quite biased to this, but I didn't find anything specifically hateful in that video. And again, it's subjective. For any of you who've seen that video, if you want to go watch that video here, you can let me know if I went a bit too far, and that's fair enough.
Like, okay, here's another thing out of context, right? So I'm watching the video, and you guys know whenever I play a Demogorgon, you know how he puts those portals on the ground, right? Everybody knows that. Well, whenever I pick at those portals, I call it fingering the butthole. I thought it was funny. But this guy took that out of context. This guy took that completely out of context and was like, oh, he talks about fingering buttholes. I'm like, you're a loser, dude. Like seriously? Like, the fuck is wrong with you, bro?
This is becoming more of a comedy sketch right now because he talks about context. He says that I was making fun at the fact that he was fingering buttholes, and in all fairness, I was. But obviously not in the way that he said. Here's the clip here. Guys, in the next video.
That's right, bitch. Eat a dick. I'm gonna finger your butthole. Num 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 num. Let me finger that butthole. Num 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 num. Num 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 num.
And there you go. That's the end of the video. When I first saw this, it kind of annoyed me that he said that I even made commentary on it at all. I think it was more my portrayal in that, where I would seriously think that him doing this stuff was some sort of crime. In all fairness, I was actually in support of this Matthew. I mean, here's a clip of that. But as controversial as it might sound, I much prefer this Matt. I like this Matt. This is the real Matt being himself.
Well, there's a lot of people like that on YouTube. I mean, it's not new, right? I mean, I've been making videos for 11 years, and it's definitely not new. Like, that's how some people get their viewership. And then what's funny is right at the beginning of the video, he goes, this is video... He goes, this is video 3 of my 3-part series on Matthew Santoro. It's like, bro, what do you think you are, CNN? Like, you're a fucking loser, bro. Like, well, you think this is CNN?
So he's referring to, I think, this video here, which doesn't really make sense because he was referring to the Twitch video at first. And trust me, I was confused. At this point, I still wasn't 100% sure if he was talking about me, because I did not say that at the beginning of my third video in my 3-part series on fucking CNN. Come on, Matt. You can call me a loser all you want, but do not call me CNN. It hurts, man. It physically hurts. Look, I looked everywhere. I tried to find another video with the same clips that he mentioned, and I couldn't find anything at the time. I spent a good couple of hours trying to figure out who he was actually talking about, until this next clip, which makes it quite clear.
I forget the guy's name. He was some nobody. He had like 300 subscribers or some shit.
This final comment on its own spoke the most. I was, at the time, a 300 subscriber channel, and after doing research to figure out who else he was talking about, it was very clear that he was talking about me. At the time, what this told me is that he was very worried about people reacting to what he does on Twitch. Like I said before, that Jack Daniels guy, he had his video taken down by Matthew, and I think some other people did as well. Very small channels, by the way, and those videos were exposing him for his toxicity. My video was just a reaction to him being goofy, and the fact that he twisted it in that way to make me look like the bad guy, whilst being an absolute nobody on YouTube, which I still am, by the way, was very bizarre and was clearly a way for him to discredit anyone talking about him on Twitch. Now, with that all out of the way, let's actually have a look at where Matthew is today. I've been watching quite a few of Matthew's streams, right? I honestly, look, I didn't want to just have a look at all the backlash. I didn't just want to have a look at the compilation and say, that's just him and he's always going to be like that. Because honestly, that's not the whole point of a video that's meant to expose somebody. The whole point of that video is to not just expose Matt, but to shine light on his problems, on what he's actually doing wrong. Now, this is where it gets even more interesting because, look, whilst I was recording this, I had one of his streams on in the background. And almost as if Matthew knew I was making this video, which he obviously doesn't, by the way, he went ahead and said this.
Listen, man, everything happens for a reason, right? And I'll be honest with you, like, when you see a compilation of like all of your worst, angriest moments in a game, it kind of wakes you up. You're like, oh shit, like, I was not being a nice person. And then it made me feel weird because I was like, that's not who I am. Like, the person on the screen, I was like, oh, dude, you got to get your mental health back in check. You know what I'm saying? So...
First off, I was watching through a few hours of this video. I think I started about an hour in. And you know what? Through the streams that I have seen since all the backlash, and including this, I haven't actually noticed any toxicity. You might think for a second and say, wait, Wiz, you haven't seen every single stream. And that's very true. Obviously, if I've missed something, please do let me know. But in all honesty, I just couldn't find anything. In the past, of course, he has mentioned, you know, how the lockdowns affected him, his mental health and everything. And I think a real good step forward for him was actually speaking to a psychiatrist, which I believe he's still doing. You know, getting therapy and such. Like, if you have that at your disposal, I have far more respect for you if you actually go ahead and use that than if you deny it all and continue being an asshole. He also says this.
And to a degree, trolling is always a part of gaming, but I definitely took it too far by, like, you know, you should never go into somebody's stream and be like, hey, like, your viewership is shit. Like, that's not me. Like, I shouldn't ever say that. That's just it's just a silly thing to say. Like, we all start somewhere on Twitch, right? Like, a year ago when I started on Twitch, I think because I already had an audience on other platforms, I think I started with, like, 15 or 20 viewers.
It's nice to see that he recognizes that what he's done and what he said wasn't okay. And the fact that Spook N Jukes video did the job that it was meant to and opened his eyes is a much better outcome than him continuing this toxic tirade. Now, he did go on to talk about, you know, the cancer comment, calling somebody cancer while their mother had cancer. And he had this to say about it.
But again, the reason that I did those things, and this is not to excuse any of the trolling or anything like that, but like, there's one guy that I said, you're cancer, right? I said, first of all, that's a very, very, very common trolling word to use in gaming. It always has been. I've talked to people that have been gaming for a decade. They're all like, yeah, that's a very common term. It's not a nice term, but it's a common term.
Now, he goes on a little bit longer after that, talking about how somebody is using his username and has created a fake screenshot saying that he told people to die of cancer. I've personally not seen it, and I think if anyone's going to go ahead and do that, it's just adding unnecessary fuel to the fire. And I understand that people say shitty things to each other on the internet all the time, right? There's probably worse things that you can call people, and I'm getting PewDiePie flashbacks right here from the bridge. I still don't think it's okay to have the same kind of behavior as everybody else, but just because other people say toxic things to each other doesn't mean you have to do the same. But he continues with this.
The reason that I talked shit to those people was because, dude, they were being shitty to me. The guy that I talked shit to, dude, I don't remember what happened in the game, but he did something really nasty in the game. Like, really nasty in the game. So I talked shit to him. So so he's allowed to be toxic, but I'm not allowed to be toxic back. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, it's unfair, but unfortunately that is the case when you've got a following. Now, he goes on a bit more to talk about how it's different when you have a following, but my point still remains. Just because somebody else is being an arsehole doesn't mean you have to retaliate in the same way. And I'm going to put my hand up and say that is much easier said than done. I'm pretty damn sure that everybody watching this video, including myself, has either retaliated to the same degree, either in real life or on a video game. It's very clear that Matthew did go over the top, and after seeing this stream, I can see that he genuinely believes that he went too far. It is unfortunate that, you know, people have an expectation of you, and a lot of that is based off of what they've seen on YouTube. I know some people have low expectations for you anyway. Everyone has haters, but yeah, it is unfair. But unfortunately, it's something that you've got to live with, and I'm pretty damn sure you've had to live with it for a long time now. You're fully aware of how things work on the internet. Anyone with a large following will get picked to shit, even over the most smallest of things. And some people have most definitely said worse things, and they've still recovered from it. They get the backlash, they lose a lot of fans, but over time, they reform and they try to do better. It's unfair, yes, because you've got a following and more people care about what you say compared to just some random gamer who also calls people cancer. But that's pretty much all he had to say in that clip that I caught. I'm actually very glad that I had the stream on at the time whilst I was recording, because I was going to react to another clip. But this is the point of the video where I guess I share my opinion on Matthew, on where he is now, and what you guys think. Personally, I think it's great that he's taking steps forward. It's very clear that he does have a bit of resentment for what's happened, and that's fair enough. I don't think anything should ever be one-sided, and it's good that he shares his opinion on that. Regarding the whole mental health issues and everything, I think it's really good that he's seeing a psychiatrist. And even though my opinion of Matthew has changed dramatically in the past 3 months, I think that what he did was pretty shitty, but if I see changes for the better, I'll at least give them one more chance. But that's just my opinion. It can mean absolutely fuck all. But now I want to know from you guys what you think. Do you think he's reformed for the better? That he can redeem himself? Or that what is done and there's no turning back? Sounds very deep, but I just want to remind you guys that, again, this is not a hate video. This is meant to be more of a rational conversation. I know people get very emotional about topics like this, but let's take this to the comment section below. If you made it this far, then you know the whole context of this video. This was my 4th episode in my 4-part series on CNN, and I'll see you guys in the next one.